Hey guys, welcome back. So today's video has to do with learning why it's so important to stop trying to please an unpleasable person. Why it's important to stop trying to achieve that the narcissist is happy. Okay, we're going to talk about that today. So if you ever found yourself in a situation where you're giving more and you're giving more and you're changing yourself to try to please this person and you're working so hard to understand them and you're constantly in like this hamster wheel of trying harder and harder to please them, and yet nothing seems to be working, you're going to want to watch this video. So for those that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm a life and relationship coach. I specialize in helping people overcome narcissistic abuse, complex PTSD, and childhood trauma. I'm also the founder of the Thriver School of Transformation, which is a monthly membership where we meet live on Zoom and we do the inner work together. So I will leave the link there for anyone that wants to check it out. Okay, so let's talk about why it's so important to get off that hamster wheel. And it really boils down to understanding what happiness means to you and what happiness means to somebody that's high on the scale of NPD. Okay, to someone that's not high on that scale, happiness is about feelings, right? It's an emotional thing. It's about bonding with people. It's about a sense of belonging, of connection. If we're talking about relationships, being happy in a relationship, it's about feeling close to the person, feeling that interchange of love, right? Because it's reciprocal, it's kind, there's so many good things associated with happiness. And so if you imagine the reward center of your brain, right, of a person that's healthy, the reward center of your brain lights up when there's love, when there's connection, when there's bonding, when there's reciprocity, when there's kindness. When those things are taking place in a relationship, if we could see the reward center of our brain, it would be lit up. Okay. But with a narcissist, it's not like that. The things that make a narcissist happy are very different. And sadly, if we were to be able to see the reward center of their brain of a narcissist, right, a malignant narcissist, we would see that it lights up and gets that same activation that a healthy person gets when there's the kind of happiness that I just described. Theirs light up when they are creating a negative emotion in someone. So rather than when you give love and see that love coming back in a healthy person, their reward center of the brain would light up. With a narcissist, it's the exact opposite. And this is why no matter what you do to have a healthy, happy relationship with somebody that's high on the scale, it never works, because that's not what lights up their reward center of the brain. That's not what they're looking for in a relationship. And it's hard to kind of wrap your mind around that in the beginning. And I know it's really hard to understand that. Why wouldn't somebody want that? But the reality is if you were to put their brains under scans, that's what you would find. What lights them up, so to speak, is the mental chaos, the emotional dysregulation that they can cause and create in others. Now, to be balanced, there is a scale, right? We always talk about how everyone's somewhere on that scale, with codependency way over here, NPD way over here, healthy in the middle, but everyone is still somewhere on that scale. So somebody that is not so high on the NPD scale, in other words, they have narcissistic tendencies or traits, but they aren't malignant, right? They're not that high on the scale where they can be considered malignant. They can be happy with people admiring them. So, they're the kind of people that every time they're in a group, it's all about them. They're talking about their achievements. They're bringing the focus onto them. They're interrupting you to talk about them. They're not necessarily trying to purposely hurt people, but they're getting their happiness through admiration. Someone that's higher up on the scale, that's not enough for them. And so they get that admiration, right? They want what's known as positive supply, but they also want negative supply. They want both. Somebody that's more malignant. And the way they get the positive is the same way that I just described with somebody that's lower on the scale, is through admiration by other people. But if they are malignant, then they also need somebody that can give them negative supply, which is their ability to cause those negative emotions in you. What you'll find if you are in a relationship with somebody that's more malignant is that everyone will talk so highly of either your spouse or your parent or sibling, whatever the relationship is. They will talk so highly of this person. And as you're listening, it's almost like they're talking about a different person. In your head, you're like, are we talking about the same person? And again, the reason is because who they are on the outside is different because they are seeking positive supply from others. They're seeking negative supply from you. So they are like a totally different person with you. Now, here's the crazy part when it comes to understanding the happiness of the narcissist. Here's the crazy part. So you would think somebody that is so interested in negative emotions would be an unhappy person, right? That their unhappiness causes and creates problems for themselves, right? Because that's what happens. Somebody that's unhappy usually winds up with illness. Somebody that's unhappy usually winds up with all kinds of side effects, so to speak. And that doesn't seem to happen with a narcissist. There's that phrase that we hear all the time, right? When a narcissist is involved, the narcissist stays healthy and everyone around them gets sick. And that's so true because what the narcissist does with all the chaos that they're creating, all that emotional drama, they deflect that onto you. So you're carrying it all, and it's literally in their brains as if everything is fine. And so that's why family members of the narcissist tend to get more and more ill physically, emotionally, mentally, because of this deflection. You are ultimately carrying all that the narcissist does not want. Okay, so when we begin to understand this, the value of understanding this is not just about focusing on the narcissist and talking about what they're like. We have to shift into cptsd recovery, which is, okay, I understand this. Well, now what? How can this help me? And the reality is that once you see this and once you really allow this truth to sink in, that this is what happiness is for them, and that no matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, you will never be able to feel that happiness from them, that acceptance from them, or that love that you deserve from them. Once you really allow yourself to accept and acknowledge that, you can then begin fueling yourself from within. Okay, what people don't tend to realize that they do is that they're so busy chasing the love of a narcissist that they are not giving themselves love. They are not caring for their own emotional needs. It's like an empty cup, and they're chasing the narcissist to fill it. And and narcissistic abuse trains and conditions you to do that. But once you realize that no matter how fast you run, no matter how much you try, they're never going to fill it, you can begin filling it. And it begins with looking at how you talk to yourself, how you show up for yourself, your emotional needs, how you're caring for yourself, and really starting to create the happiness from within. Now, I know that that's not the ideal situation, especially if you're in a romantic relationship, because you want that reciprocity, and that's completely understandable. But at some point, we have to look at the facts and look at what's going on and pause from staring at whatever they are or aren't doing and really seeing how you can create a sense of agency from within. Okay, that's when you can start healing and start strengthening yourself from the inside out. And if you struggle with that, make sure you check out the School of Transformation, because that's what we do. Every month we take a different theme. This month it's shadow work. Last month it was boundaries. And we focus on a piece of the healing journey puzzle, and we spend time working through it together. So make sure you check it out.